Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us for this segment of KOIN Conversations at the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. I am joined now with the executive director of the Latino Network, Tony DeFalco. Tony, thank you so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and again, great timing. It's the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. Tony, first I want to just talk to you about how you got started with the Latino Network.
Well, I have been part of this community for a long time. I've been in Portland for over 2 decades. I'm Mexican American. And when I had the opportunity to give back to the community in this way by serving in this role, I was so eager to jump at it. And it's been an amazing 4 years since I started in the role.
That's incredible. And as a Mexican American in this region for a while now, I'm sure that you've also seen hand in hand kind of the struggles that Latino youth, families go through.
Yeah, I think, what I am so excited about sharing with you all today is just how beautiful and strong and amazing our community is. I just think we do everything. We can do everything. And, our youth, the way we're able to support them with our different programs just really lifts that up even to higher levels.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I know that, the heart of this organization, you guys are focused on youth outreach. Tell me why it starts there with the kids.
Yeah, I think we started out 30 years ago. Next year will be our 30th anniversary, really as an advocacy organization to lift up a visibility of our community. We weren't being seen by decision makers, and I think that's really shifted dramatically over these 3 decades. And now we're able to really focus both on direct service to our community, especially for youth and families, but also that advocacy piece of continuing to advocate for our community, especially in this moment in time.
For sure. And I think a big part of your guys' work also involves literacy rates, right? Literacy rates in Oregon across the board in education are not the best. Tell me how you guys are combating that within the Latino community.
Yeah, I think we really focus on the kinds of things that our community is both very proud of. Lifting up culture is really central to what we do. And I think the way we integrate our curriculum is deeply embedded in cultural pride. And we do that at all levels. We have our Juntos Aprendemos programs for 0 to 5-year-olds and having the parents involved and really helping parents become advocates for their youth. But then also really steeping all of that in that pride of who you are, the languages you speak. And so, all bilingual. In our preschool that we just opened, Escuelita Esperanza, seeing that kind of pride of our youngest 3 and 4-year-olds and the parents to know that this is a place where you are so deeply valued for who you are. And starting that early, I think, just pays off dividends in the future in incredible ways.
That's incredible. I did not know about that preschool. Is it bilingual, as in all of the students in the program are English, Spanish speakers, or is it even like an immersion program for, non-Latino families to enroll their kids?
Yeah, not all of the students are bilingual, and that's part of it is for monolingual Spanish speakers, introduction to English, for monolingual English speakers, introduction to Spanish. But again, that age group is just able to be very flexible with language. But again, really just having that pride in culture, especially right now where so many seek to denigrate not just our culture, but other cultures. And this is just that beacon of we are Oregon. We are part of this community and so important part of this community, and having those really valuable opportunities for young people and their parents to get that early start is just critical.
I agree. And the tides have certainly turned since I was a kid. My parents both immigrated here as well, and they were of the mindset of, hey, I'm going to teach my kid perfect English because I want them to be an American. So it's kind of this idea that, you have to hide a part of yourself in fear that you won't be accepted in that way. And it's interesting to see now that other languages and other cultures are being embraced.
Yeah, we're not hiding. I think the days of hiding are I think there's some push to keep us hiding, but I think we've come too far. Right. And I think what's really exciting for us is the ways in which expression, whether that's language or culture, is not just an option, but it's a part of the viability of our region and our state. We won't thrive without those contributions, whether those are economic or cultural. And I think, for us as an organization to embed that kind of mentality throughout our programming, whether that's the 0 to 1-year-olds all the way up to adults in our leadership development programs, is a point of pride, but also a point of economic and social viability for our state.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you're talking about embracing our cultures, not hiding, because obviously right now, given the current political climate in this country, a lot of Latino families, Hispanic families are afraid, given the ICE raids and the administration's stance on that, and the possibility now that they will up the ante here in Portland and other sanctuary cities. How are you going about talking with younger kids about this? How should parents be approaching it, whether their kid is Latino or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to recognize that Oregon has the strongest sanctuary laws in the country. And those have been hard won by this community and all communities of color, immigrant communities for many years. And we need to strengthen those laws. I think that's critical in our next legislative session. But I also think that, it's important for us to really acknowledge our strength and to really understand that not just the economic contributions, not just the cultural contributions, but the social, the fabric of our society is us. And we can't go backward from that. And attempts to do so will always fall flat because we love each other and we have this deep love for the state and our region. And that's how we operate. And we're interested in that daily encounter of talking about where we're going to get our next delicious comida mexicana from,
Right.
and how we're going to go celebrate at El Grito today. And those things don't stop because of the kind of political environment in it. They always continue. And it creates that fabric that others want to be part of.
For sure. We talked a little bit about the El Grito event before I hit record here. Can you tell me a little bit more about it on camera now?
Well, I want to give props to Lada Media. They are the force behind El Grito. And every year they put this together. They plan it for 10 months.
Wow.
And they're doing it even in a time when you could easily say maybe we don't have that event this year, but we have to have that event this year. And so I just have so much love in my heart for Victoria Lara and all of the team there at Lada Media for thank you for continuing El Grito this year, even in a challenging year, both economically and socio-politically. And I was there yesterday, and to see the people out there enjoying the celebration, seeing the mariachis and seeing the ballet, and talking to all the nonprofit providers that were there about resources that they need. We have to keep coming together because our community doesn't stop. We still have all those kinds of things that we're doing and needing at the same time.
For sure. And Tony, if you didn't know this, I've been working throughout the last few weeks leading up to the start of Hispanic Heritage Month, which is today. And something that you really just kind of reminded me of was I met with the owner of the Portland Mercado, and they're also rebuilding during a time when maybe there is fear to have this kind of community space for people to go to, given, again, the current administration's stance on Portland as a sanctuary city, the ICE raids going on. So there really is a lot of people right now leaning into community. What can people who aren't Latino do to be an ally to these communities right now?
Well, I think we're always interested in building things. And if there's one community that knows how to build things, it's our community, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we can't stop building the future because of these kinds of things. We certainly are defending our community, and at Latino Network, we have a very strong community defense program that has multiple fronts to it. Protecting access to reproductive care for our gente is really important. Defending immigrants from unlawful detentions. So we have all of those resources available at Latino Network. But also building toward the future. And so one of the things we're really proud of right now and invite everyone to be part of is the Equal Rights for All campaign. And this will, for the first time, institutionalize in our state's constitution the right to marry whoever you want, the right to reproductive care, including abortion, and the right to health care for all, including trans folks. And, right now is this moment where we all have to love each other even more because of that hate that's out there.
Right.
And I think what's exciting about that is we have a real demonstrable way for Oregon to say, these are our values. that we love our community so deeply that we are putting this into our state's constitution.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. I hope that some of our viewers uh, are listening and are able to give back to the Latino community in that way. Because just speaking to the different organizations I have leading up to this month, as you said, Latino working families, Latino families, they're so integral to the past, present, and future of Oregon, and they are truly, truly here to stay. And I know, again, just touching back on, the fear that people in the Latino community have right now, given the current administration, they can go to the Latino Network to figure out what the next step is, if need be, if they're looking to establish citizenship or go through that process. That's something that you guys provide.
Yeah, latnet.org is your home for everything, whether that's emotional, mental health. We just opened our first mental health clinic. We're very excited about that. Or it's support with immigration, proactive or reactive. We have that support as well and can navigate you to resources. Or helping your kids in schools. We have programming throughout the metro region in Washington County, Clackamas County, Multnomah County. And so you can find all that information at latnet.org. It's bilingual. Please check it out. We can certainly hook everyone up with access to those programs and resources.
That's incredible. And I love that the Latino Network is really leaning into equal rights for all, whether it be who you want to marry, who you want to love, establishing citizenship, all of those things. Can you talk to me as a Mexican American yourself? The culture has certainly shifted as well in terms of having more talks with your abuela or your abuelo about sexuality, about mental health. Are those some conversations that maybe you've had with your elders and that you've kind of seen change over the years?
I mean, we're so excited about all this work within our community because it's not always easy. And, what we're building on is over a decade of having conversations with our youth and our families about sex education, about the reproductive care, about trans rights, and they're not done. They're not. There's by no means have we as a community reached the promised land in terms of embracing everyone in our community.
Right.
But I think what's been such a North Star for us is always reaching toward that place where we are using those values we have of love of the land, love for our community, shared prosperity, and really translating those into real things around, well, how do we do that in real time when we need to overcome our own oppressive behaviors? And we do that by really listening closely to community, building curriculum around how we have those conversations, and then having those conversations with youth and family. And I can tell you that it works. It really does work. And it takes time, and it takes that love and intention to do it over and over again. But I see our community as really a way to have a superior vision for the future in not just our region, but our state. One that really inculcates those values around shared prosperity, really loving everyone in our community, and putting those into practice every day, even when it's challenging.
Right.
To overcome your own insecurities or your own biases.
For sure. And I also kind of want to touch on small Latino businesses, maybe any that you want to highlight. Obviously, this is a tough time for everyone economically. Times are tough. Are there any Latino businesses out there that you want to highlight for Hispanic Heritage Month? I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are wanting to support Latino Hispanic businesses, but maybe they don't know where to look.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think so many of our businesses are vital to the economy of our state. I mean, we really are in many ways a key economic driver. And so I think it's really about all sectors coming together, whether it's the public sector and really increasing minority and women contracting across all groups. We are woefully underrepresented in public contracting still. To like that everyday thing where you're making choices about how do you spend your dollars, whether that's for goods or services, and really having that mindset of like, how do I make sure that I'm lifting up communities that are underinvested in? And that certainly includes the Latino community, but it also includes communities of color and tribal communities. And we really have that mindset of like, we go together because that's how we win in business and policy, in our schools. And it's worked for our communities over time in the state.
Awesome. And as you said, Latino Network been around since 1996, right?
Yay.
So coming up on 30 years. Any big milestones or accomplishments you want to highlight as we approach this anniversary?
We're still here. I think
Yeah.
it's a big one, right?
Right. 30
and
years.
we
That's
don't- we
no
don't
small
take that for
feat.
granted,
Yeah.
right? It's because it's so much love from so many people and institutions. And I run into donors and I thank them. I of course, our foundation partners, our public partners. I mean, this is a labor of love for so many, both in our community and those partners we have in our community. And I think that, right now we're seeing attacks on nonprofits in particular. And I think that we all are kind of in this place of like, we need to make sure that there are adequate resources for our communities. And I really call upon our leadership at the state level in particular to say, hey, we've got to come up with solutions for addressing these significant shortfalls that are in front of us. And because it's really impacting especially our youngest folks. If we're cutting resources, we will see those negative impacts over time when we don't invest.
Right.
And this is that time where we really have got to be creative and bold in Oregon around how we address this problem, not just by cutting budgets, but also by creating more resources for the future.
For sure. I love that the Latino Network realizes that it starts when they're kids, it starts when they're young, because as a parent myself, I know it truly does. Tony, before we end, where else can people go to learn more about the Latino Network and the incredible work that you guys are doing in the community?
Our social media is really strong on Instagram. Our website is really powerful in terms of access to tools and resources. So look us up on Instagram. And then the website is latnet.org, a really great place to find more information. And then if you're in the schools in this region, we offer programming at many of the schools. So ask your schools, principals, or teachers about Latino Network programming at the schools.
Awesome. Then, of course, Mexican Independence Day tomorrow. Any plans to party?
El Grito is such an important time for the Mexican American and Mexican community. And I think it's a time also where we sort of say, hey, there are increasing numbers of Latina folks from Central and South America here as well. And we are linked inextricably together in our quest for the ability to thrive in our state. So happy Independence Day for Mexicans and Mexican Americans, and to all of our Latina gente, we're in this together. Let's keep going.
Right, sí se puede. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Tony DeFalco, Executive Director with the Latino Network, joining us for KOIN Conversations at the very start of Hispanic Heritage Month. So, Tony, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.